Hey, welcome to the channel. This is what we're going to be making today, and I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step process for how to do this inside of Fusion. Now, don't click away. We are using Fusion, and I promise you, I'm going to hold your hand through this. I'm going to walk you through it. It's super easy. It's easier than you think, I promise. And by the end of this, you should be an expert. So let's get into it. So the very first thing I'm going to do is introduce you guys to the footage that we're working with. Now, I will make this footage available for download on my website. Down in the description below, you'll see a link to my website. It's www.ethanrobinsimaging.com. And on the store from my website, there is a category for freebies. I will put this footage there so you can download it and work with it yourself if you want to practice. Or you could just shoot your own footage. This is literally just a mug that is full almost to the brim of coffee. Like, that's a big mug, and I use a lot of coffee. So this is the footage. It's literally just still. We're going to jump over to the Fusion page. So if you right click here, go to Fusion. Here we are now in Fusion. Now, I always have my Fusion set up to look a different way. To do that, I'm going to go for Workspace, Layout Presets, Fusion Presets, Mid Flow. And this is just how I like mine. And I'm going to drag this down here, Arrange Tools, Grid. So now these move on the grid. Super easy, super nice. Now that we're here, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a view LUT so that I can see what I'm working with here. So the view LUT that I'm using right now is if you go to your LUT drop down right here and go to Sony, it's the second one here. Now, this is just a view LUT, right? So this is just your color conversion inside of Fusion. So if you want to be able to see what you're working on with a little bit of color, you can do that. Otherwise, you could just turn this off and you're working with your regular raw footage. Now, this footage here is already color graded, as you can see, but that's because in the editing pipeline, it goes edit, Fusion, color. Color comes after Fusion. So it's not until after Fusion effects are applied that we see color. So therefore, if I have no view LUT applied and go into the Fusion page, you won't see color. But I'm going to apply a view LUT. All right, so let's get started, shall we? We're going to make this from scratch. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to apply a noise node. It's called fast noise here in Fusion. In After Effects, this is called fractal noise. I want to say, I think it's called fractal noise, but we're getting away from After Effects. That's the whole point of the series, is learning how to take what we want to do in After Effects and the skills that we have in After Effects and being able to apply them here in DaVinci Resolve. Just because DaVinci Resolve is better and it's cheaper to use, we're all about trying to help people get away from Adobe. So we have our pipeline here. We have our node tree. I'm going to take this, drag it in, take a merge node here, and then connect the two. So immediately we see just our fast noise put on top of our media out. So what I want to do is I want to be able to see two things going on at once. I want to see media out. So I'm going to press 2 right here just so that you can visually see I'm activating media out in the 2 spot of my preview. And to see fast noise, I'm going to press 1. So this is 1 here on the left side and 2 here on the right. I have fast noise selected, so that's all I see here. Now, I really want to work with this fast noise and kind of change the look to make it look more like steam. So there's a couple things I'm going to do to make that happen. And the very first thing is going into these options I have right here in my inspector and moving sliders until I get what I want. Now, there is no right or wrong. There is no, this is steam, this is smoke, this is water refraction or light refraction inside of water. There's none of that. It's just, you move the slider. Does it look good? Does it look accurate? Does it look correct? Move along. That's it. So that's what we're going to start doing. I'm going to start moving this around. I don't know about adding detail here just because let's look at some references. So like in these references here, you can see that steam is very flowy. And now while there is detail in the sense that there is a lot of strands of flowing steam, the strand itself is not very detailed. So we want to apply that here as well. So I'm actually going to take detail down from where it starts. It starts here at 2 as it comes by default, and just drag it down a little bit. I think I'm going to take contrast up. I'm going to take it up a little bit from where it starts. Not a lot, but some. I don't want these black spots and these hot spots right here to be too prominent. And in fact, just to make this easier to view, I'm going to go to my options right up here in the corner and uncheck checker underlay. That way I'm working with just a black background and I can see the changes that I'm making a little bit clearer. I like that right there. Brightness can go about right there. I think that's a little bit beneath where it started off. Now scale is interesting. So check this out. So scale, if I scale this up, you can see this is what we're working with. And it looks kind of like when a TV gets all fuzzy, but when you change these parameters here, it changes the texture that you have here in your noise. So if you scale it up, that's what you get. I'm going to scale this way down. I want this to be kind of like that. I think that's good. That's a little bit, what is that? A little bit less than what we started off. Yeah. So now the last thing here in the noise tab within the fast noise node is seethe and seethe rate. Now, seething is just animation. Basically, it's how much is the thing going to wiggle or move or change based on its time. So watch this. If I take my seethe dial and move it here, you see this moves. Now, this is only me moving it manually. If I want to control the seethe property or seethe amount, I could keyframe this and animate it. So I could put my little keyframe here, move to the very end and drag this way. Now I have directly affected how fast the seethe rate is based on my own manual input. Or even on top of this, if you want to stack seethe properties, you could up the seethe rate. So this is kind of like a modifier on top of seethe, if that makes sense. So now it's seething faster because I've upped the seethe rate. Or if you just want to play it with seethe at 0 and up the seethe rate, you can see it move. This is all up to the imagination. This is up to what looks right to you. Now, another thing here I think is important to consider is the center property. Now, I'm going to zoom out on this, and you can see if I take my little handle here in the previewer and drag this up, you can watch the Y property in center move, right? So this is just kind of designated as the center of your texture of the noise. So because steam rises, right, it's going to come off of the cup and move up. We want to keyframe this to move up. So I'm going to kind of highlight our main viewer right now and go to the very beginning. I'm going to keyframe my center. At the beginning, I'm going to jump all the way to the end and keyframe my center as well. And now I'm just going to drag this up. And you can see the texture kind of changes, and depending on how far you move it up over the duration of the entire clip will determine how fast your steam is rising. So now let's go back to fit view, and we could see we have kind of a thing going on here. The next thing that I want to kind of call to your attention is that the steam is all over the frame, right? That's a very obvious observation to make here. Steam is only going to be coming off of the cup, right? So how do we go about doing that? Cutting off the rest of the frame. Here's how. We're going to draw a mask around only the parts that we want the steam to be in. So on our nodes here, on merge node, you can see it has this blue triangle input, right? So in Fusion and with nodes in Fusion, the blue triangle input is where you connect masks. So whether it be in media in, right, appear up top, or whether it be in fast noise, whatever node you have that has a blue input, you can mask it. And there's two possible places to mask this here. What we can do is we can either mask in the fast noise node, which is a very viable option, or we can mask in the merge node. In this particular instance, I'm going to make the decision to mask in the merge node just because I don't want my mask in fast noise to only apply to fast noise. I want the mask that I set to apply to everything that feeds into that merge node, regardless of how many things we end up connecting to that merge node later on. So I know the area that I want my steam to be in. So I'm going to take my polygon mask right up here in my toolbar, drag it down here, and connect it to the blue input. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around, and I'll speed this part up so you can see me doing it, so you don't have to sit and watch me click a bunch of times, but I'm going to go around and draw the area that I want my steam to be in. Okay, so now that I have finished drawing this area, you can see that the steam is only represented inside of that area. Just depending on how you click or what particular settings you might have active, you might notice a couple of these curve connections. Just for the sake of this demonstration and keeping things quick, I'm going to select all of them and make these connections linear. So watch this. Up here in my top, if I select this little icon right here, click and drag all my points, and then press this straight line, watch this curve right here. It becomes linear. So that way you don't have to worry about it. It's all good. So yeah, here we have our steam. Right now, one thing you might be noticing is you see all of these hard edges. Like that's not really steam, right? Steam is very translucent. It's very transparent. It's very soft. So I'm going to go back into my mask node, pull up my properties here, and soft edge. If you're coming from After Effects, soft edge is the same thing as feathering something. So if you have an edge in After Effects and you bump up the feather on that edge, it makes it soft. It makes it fade, right? And that's what soft edge does. So I'm going to take this and drag it up and watch what happens. We get a soft fade, right? Pretty cool. Now from here, you can continue to mess with your points. So I want to take these bottom ones and move them up a little bit just because I don't want too much steam to be bleeding over the edge of the cup because the steam is coming from inside the cup. Now already, that doesn't look too bad. In terms of shaping and designating where our steam is coming from, that doesn't look half bad. There's still a lot to be done, but it looks good. The next thing I want to do is I want to bring down the opacity on the steam coming in. So to do that, I'm going to go into my merge node, and in Fusion, opacity is called blend. Okay, so I'm going to take my blend and just drag it down a little bit so that way you can either make it completely disappear if that's what you're going for, or just dial in exactly where you want it to be. I like mine right here at 0.575. I think that looks good. So I'm going to play this back now. And you can see when I play it, just because we animated the center, you can see the movement of the steam, right? Now that movement looks good, but we want to do more with it. What's cool about fast noise in Fusion, or in just compositing in general, is that you can use it for a lot of different things. Fast noise can be converted into the fluidity of water. It can be used in air, used in making textures. You can use fast noise in almost everything. So what we're gonna do is not only are we gonna keep this fast noise that we've already established, but we're gonna use fast noise to displace the position and the dynamic movement of the steam that we already have. And if that sounds confusing, just stick with me. I promise this is gonna work out and it's gonna be easy. So the very first thing I'm gonna do now is I'm going to take a displace node, okay? And I'm gonna put it in between fast noise and merge. So I'm gonna search for displace here, DIS place, cool. And I'm gonna take displace node, select it, hold down on it, press shift, and drag it on my flow line right there. And you can see I have officially added it in. Displace is insanely cool just because it takes an image being fed into it, into the yellow background node, and whatever you connect to this green input will modify the yellow input based on its texture. It sounds kind of confusing. Let me just demonstrate for you because I know you're probably a visual learner. Take fast noise, drag this in. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I want to change the parameters of this fast noise such that when we move it, it changes the dynamic movement of the steam we already have. Follow along here, okay? Firstly, I'm gonna animate the center, again, like we already have. So center keyframe on at the very beginning, go to the very end of my timeline, keyframe on, and this goes up here and maybe to the right. I'm going to set this to my viewer 1. So now we could see it moves in that direction. Now I've changed some settings here in Fast Noise 2 to be able to, and I've really exaggerated the texture here. I've really bumped up on the scale, way high on the contrast, high on the detail as well. And I want to show you exactly what we're working with here. You can very subtly see that texture here in the steam, right? Now the movement and the seething that I've animated on this texture here are reflected in the steam. And it is subtle and it is there. For the sake of being able to show you this, I bumped my blend all the way back up here, but I'm gonna put this back down just because we're going for realism here. Now, again, compositing and adding these things is not about getting the perfect results the first time around, but it's about finding a combination of a bunch of small changes that get you the big change that you want. So we're gonna continue to add things in between our nodes here and just kind of stack it up and see how it goes. One thing I do want to do, however, is change the shape here of our steam. I'm gonna move these points in a little bit. And one thing that's really cool about Fusion and animating masks is that you can animate the shape of a mask. So watch this. I'm on my very first frame for the shape of this mask here. You can see I'm on frame 3. I have this keyframed here. I'm gonna move it to, this is frame 36. And I'm going to take all of these points and move them up like that. So that way, between frame 3 and frame 36, you can see that they move. Just because what does steam do? Steam moves dynamically, right? So we want to add a little bit of dynamic motion in there. I'm going to take these frames or these points as well and move them this way. Then I'm going to jump to frame, let's do frame 80. Okay, and move these here. Maybe I'll take just these points. Do this, and then we'll jump all the way to the end and put it back kind of where it was. So now let's see kind of how this animates now. That doesn't look half bad. That actually looks pretty good. It's all about, like I said, the bunch of little things that you stack on top of each other to make a big thing. Let's watch this. I still personally think here that I'm going to set this to full screen, that the top region of my smoke is a little bright actually. So there's a couple things we could do to change this that are going through my mind. The first thing I want to do is just add a brightness and contrast node and bring down the brightness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find brightness and contrast. That's this little sun right here up in your toolbar. Take this and put it right before the merge, just because we want that to be the last thing that changes the effect that we're building before it goes into our regular flow line. And you can totally mess with this here, and this will bring up the gain, lift, whatever you want to do. In this case, I just want to mess with the brightness a little bit, bring the brightness down just a pinch. I'm just doing minus 0.055. And like I said, I think it's still too bright at the top. Steam is the fullest, so to say, and the brightest always at the source of the heat. And that, in this case, that's the liquid, that's the coffee. So we want it to be brightest down at the bottom. We don't want it to be still as bright at the top, just because if we go back to our reference here, it dissipates more as it gets further away from the source. We were talking about that blue input for masks again. I'm going to put that in action. So have my brightness and contrast node. I've brought the brightness down by just a little. We don't want to do too much. It's all, like I said, a bunch of little things. And I'm going to take a rectangle node here and apply that to the mask. So now the change with the brightness only applies within the shape of this rectangle. So I can move this and adjust this to my heart's desire. And now I'm just going to do this just for example. If I bring brightness all the way down, you can see I'm only affecting the brightness inside of the mask. So I don't want to do this too much, but maybe just like that. And of course, we don't like the hard edge, so we're going to feather it again by going into this specific mask node and bumping up soft edge. And now soft edge is up, and you can see there is a difference. Now in this movement, just because based on the movement of the texture that we've created from fast noise, in this particular part right here, that looks a little too dark. So I'm going to up the brightness again just a little bit. That looks better to me. We're now at minus 0.1111. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So now I want to see what this looks like on the edit page. Now on the edit page, this looks really bright and really glowy. And the reason that's happening is because all of the changes that we have made to this clip by adding the steam all in this one clip are all being piped in through the color page, and all of the color page adjustments that make our clip have color are also being applied to the steam. I'm going to show you how to get around that, just because in terms of formulating the steam and making the steam come to life, I think that part is done. And I'm going to turn off the view LUT here that we turned on at the beginning. And you can see the steam is a little harder to see right here just because we turned the view LUT off. But that is the functionality in having a view LUT, is being able to see a little bit better what you're working on. But I want to show you guys how to make the steam not affected by the color page. So to do that, we're going to do a few things. The first thing we're going to do is understand what in this node tree is what. So media in, this is your clip, right? This is C0067.mp4. This is the clip, and media out is what you see once all the effects are applied. Everything in between is the effect that you made. This is sort of like the plugin that you made, right? So we want to take this and have this not be affected by color. So what we're going to do is I have it all selected. I'm going to press Control C, and now I'm going to come back here to color page, take a fusion composition, drag it on top of our footage, jump into that fusion composition. Once we're in the fusion page, after having added the blank fusion composition on top of our footage, I'm going to take a background node, connect it to media out, and just so that we can see the transparency of the effect that we're going to be pasting in here, I'm going to click these options here, uncheck checker underlay, or we're on a checker underlay, so that once I bring the alpha down on background node, you can see we have transparency. So now all I need to do from here is just paste my effect that I made and make it such that everything is connected to the merge node, and the merge node is added in on the flow line. So now we have everything that we made with the steam, with the noise, added on top of a blank background, right? And you can see our steam is right here. Now, because we don't have any color on this fusion composition that the steam is now contained within, the steam won't be affected by color. But I'm going to go back to edit page, and the steam still looks a little bright. That's just because we haven't turned it all off in this fusion composition right here contained within the actual clip. So now I'm going to take all these nodes, turn them all off so that this is now just a blank clip. There's nothing to see here. This is just an empty clip. This is what we started with at the beginning. And now we have with these two layers stacked on top of each other, this great looking cup of coffee with some steam coming out of it. And I think this looks awesome. The cup of coffee has color. The steam has animation. It's subtle. It communicates that it's hot. It's not too much. I'm pretty proud with how this came out. And I know this was a little bit longer in terms of learning what to do and how to do this and how to do that. But I think that these types of tutorials are important when transitioning from After Effects to Fusion, just because if you don't have somebody guiding you through that transition process, it can be difficult. And learning nodes is a very difficult thing. So yeah, I hope you guys got something out of this tutorial. I'm actually kind of stoked with how this turned out. I've been really looking forward to making this clip for making this tutorial for a very long time now. I'm happy to get it checked off my list. So if you guys learned something, like this video, leave a comment if you have any questions. I'm all about helping people out, helping people bridge the gap between Adobe and DaVinci Resolve, just because on this channel, we really don't like Adobe. And if you have any questions, like I said, leave comments, subscribe to the channel if you like this video, if you like my personality or something, whatever. And I hope to see you. I really do hope to see you in future videos and in the comments down below. So like I said, hope you enjoyed. God, you hear that voice crack, man. Oh God. Thanks so much for watching.